Hi everyone, good Monday morning. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Louise. I am a full-time reseller on eBay and Poshmark. I am here today with coffee because I am very sleepy. But I have had a few requests to do a video about my process around renting a commercial office space for my business. And I've had some specific questions about how I went about finding my office. This is what happens when you have your camera set up literally like on your pen holder. This isn't gonna work. Bye. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna do this again. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm just gonna leave that little blooper in there in the beginning and I don't have to redo my shtick. Anyway, I'm doing a video about my process around getting an office space and what that's been like for me. Of course, I can't speak to what your experience would be, where you live. I am in a college town in the Pacific Northwest. And it is what it is here. I don't know what it is anywhere else, so there's that. But I think there are parts of my lessons, parts of my journey that might be useful to other people. I've had a few questions about it. So here we go. I've made a list of 5 things that I love about having my own office space that's outside of my house, and 5 things that I wish I had known before I rented my office space, or things that I will definitely do differently in my next office space. So if you're interested in that, stick around. If you aren't, but you're interested in other reseller content and you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. All my videos aren't usually just me talking to a screen. Well, they are, but I'm usually doing something else at the same time. Okay, anyways. So I'll give you a little bit of background. I rented my first office space in February of 2020. So I had just kind of gotten settled and started to figure out what life was going to be like having an office space when things changed in the world. So that was interesting. Because of everything that was going on in the world, that kind of, like a lot of people, led me to doing more. This is terrible. Y'all, I need to get some like real video equipment because this is a terrible mess. So, I am a terrible mess. It's Monday morning. We're just gonna roll with it. Okay, so yeah, so I rented my office space in February. The world went crazy in March. That led me to doing liquidation, which meant that my initial office space, which was about, what was it, 500 square feet? It was 500 square feet or 400 square feet, but it was one large room and then one small room. And that worked great when I was just trying to process what I had found at the thrift store. As I got into liquidation, that meant a lot more stuff to be processed and dealt with. It meant I needed more storage. It also meant that I needed more room so that the person who helps me with photography and now drafting, but only photography at the time, could be far enough away from me that I felt safe sharing office space. So I moved directly next door to my office into a, they advertise it's 650 square feet. I think it's a little bit bigger than that based on measurements, but either way, it is broken up into one large room and 3 smaller rooms. I have a tour of my office space. If I'm smart enough to figure it out somehow, I'll put it up there, but I'm not always smart enough. That if you'd like to see how I set things up and how things work for me, that tour will let you see that. There is a tour of my old office space as well, if that's still useful to you for any reason. So a couple things of note about my office. It's on the 2nd floor and there's no elevator. So there's that. I did have to sign a lease. When I switched offices, they did allow me to just change the address but keep the original terms of my lease. So, yeah. So I didn't have to extend my time in the building any. So my lease is up February 2022. I will be moving at that point. There are several things about this space that just don't work for me. And we'll get into that now. So the first thing that I wish I had done and or will do differently the next time is that I would have been very careful to make sure that the lease outlines what happens should I break the lease. Because there have been several things that have made me want to leave the building. But the lease makes no mention at all about consequences for having done so, which leads me to believe that the landlord could essentially, make me pay fees and penalties as well as paying the rent for the rest of the term of the lease. So I'm sticking it out. It's the right thing to do anyway. But there have been some pretty significant issues that if I had done month to month, I definitely would have left prior to now. And if I had had a lease, but I knew what the consequences were, I could have made a more educated decision about whether or not it was worth it. Okay. The second thing is that I would have waited for not a second floor office space without an office or without an elevator. If you think about the fact that, if you've watched my haul videos, you can see how much I source at the bins, or if you think about when I source via liquidation and I'm getting a pallet, that means that I am hauling literal tons of inventory on my back up a flight of stairs in the rain in the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, that's not great. So I would not rent on the second floor without an elevator again. At the time, that's what was available. And at the time I was small enough that, my business was small enough that I didn't really think it would be as big of an issue as it has turned out to be. That leads me to the next one, which is go bigger than you think you need. As big as your resources will allow you to go, that's what you should do when you decide to get a commercial space, if your plan is to grow your business. My plan was always to grow my business, but my growth prior to the last 2 years had been very, very slow and very, very steady. And so I kind of assumed that would continue to be the reality, and thank goodness it was not. I'm extremely lucky, blessed, grateful that my business grew at a faster pace, and I now wish I had considerably more space than I have right now. Because, for instance, if I do a bulk buy or purchase a pallet, it has to get delivered to my home and then sorted in my garage and then loaded into bags and carried over here on my back through the rain, So if I had a space where I could get things delivered directly to my rental space, that would be really pretty super. I currently have logical space for one more shelving unit, which will happen this week. And then I'm going to need to start to make some hard decisions about what to do with the space. So, still sick, so mind the snuffles, sorry. So I would go bigger than I thought I needed to go if I had it to do again. This might sound minor, but it's not. It also might sound like it shouldn't be a thing, but it is. I would make sure the windows open. My office is full of lovely natural light. There's tons of windows. None of them open. Not even a crack so that you can get some fresh air. And for me, that's really pretty significant. Not being able to breathe fresh air all day long if I'm here for a 12 to 14 hour day when I'm busy. It's problematic for me. And I do have a door in this office. I have a direct door out to the outside, so I can prop that open. Although I can't prop it all the way open because it blocks another person's door if I do that. My first office opened up into a lobby, so there literally was no way to get fresh air in the office. And that's not a thing I really thought about at all. I'm not even sure I noticed that they didn't open when I toured my first office space. I just was thrilled that there were windows. Okay, and the last thing that I wish I had known or would do differently the next time also might seem sort of minor, but it's really not, which is that I would make sure that there was a convenient way to pay my rent. This current landlord only accepts checks or cash in person at their office across town on their schedule, which is unpredictable and erratic. Erratic might be a strong word, but they leave early a lot of days. They, have to call first to make sure somebody is there so that I can take a check over there. During the pandemic, early on, we were not going anywhere. We weren't going to grocery stores. I certainly wasn't going to the bank. I don't have a checkbook because it's the only check I write all month long. And so I have to go to the bank and get a cashier's check. And I wasn't going to the bank. And I wasn't going into an office to bring them a check. There's no drop slot. And they wouldn't, I offered to pay the 3% or whatever for them to take a credit card payment. They wouldn't do that. So I had to set up an old fashioned, whatever that's called at the bank, where they cut a physical check and mail it. It's just, it's doable, but I really would like it if I could just A, pay my rent on a credit card and earn points for that, and B, conveniently pay my rent. So that's the 5 things. Make sure that the lease mentions the consequences of breaking it so that I can make an educated decision should the need arise. Don't rent on the second floor without a elevator. Go bigger than you think you need or bigger than you think you're going to get. Make sure windows open. And make sure there's a convenient way to pay your rent. Those are my 5 suggestions. 5 things I will do differently. Now the better part, which is 5 things I love about having my own office space. I love going to work in the morning. I love that coming to work is a place where work happens, and being at home is a place where being at home happens. And that was really hard for me when I was running my business out of my home and my garage. It just was really hard for me to be a working mom and an at-home mom at the same time, especially because there's no boss, right? So except yourself. So it's really easy to just prioritize being at home because it's what feels good at the time, and then there's nothing to kind of hold you accountable for getting the work piece done. So I love going to work. I love the sense of purpose it gives me to come to work every day. So my second one was home is just for home, although I still work a lot at home. But I make the choice to work at home. It's not constantly staring at me. And likewise, home isn't staring at me when I try to work. When I was working in my office, I had to walk by the laundry to get to my office. And you know how that goes. So the next thing is I'm way more organized here than I was when I was running my business out of my home. My husband would be quick to tell you that there's still a long way to go. And he's right. But I am so much more organized than I was. And I think that is a function of everything having a place here. And that's not the case in my home. Also, I can employ other people and give them a place to go to work that isn't my house. And I feel a lot of pride around being able to offer employment to someone else and offer them a place to go to work. So there's that. And the last thing is it just makes me feel legit. It makes me feel like a real business. It makes me feel like I truly have created something real. And that's big. So there are some emotional reasons why I love having an office, and there are some really practical ones. I would encourage anyone who feels like they need a place to go to work, to figure out how to make it happen. I know there are people who love working at home, and that's why they're resellers. And obviously, I would not advise anybody change that. But if you feel like me, which is that I felt very torn at home, like I couldn't ever focus, like I needed to get out of the house, look into it. See what it's like in your area. I did get some questions about what my process was. It isn't really a very exciting story. I posted to a couple of groups on Facebook, people that I knew, asked if anybody knew anyone who was renting office space, and I looked at Craigslist. That's pretty much what I did. And maybe I would do that differently too. It was very easy. I came and looked at the place. I said, yes, I'm interested. They handed me a lease. I signed it. I did have to get business insurance for my space. I hadn't done that at home, especially at that point when I was really just sourcing from the thrift store. I didn't feel like my investment, while my potential sales were high, with how much, with the inventory, I didn't feel like my investment in it was big enough to warrant that. That's required if you rent, at least here, if you rent a commercial office space. So I do have that, which costs me $150 a month. So it's not nothing. What else did I have to do? I had to have the business name registered with the state, because that's how I applied for the office space, or rented the office space. I think that's it. That's really all I had to do differently. I don't think I have too much else to share. I have coffee to drink though, and I have a to-do list as long as my arm. So I'm going to sign off of this and get this uploading so that folks can see it. If you have any video suggestions that you'd like to hear from me about my process or experience or journey, let me know. I'd be happy to throw together a video if I feel like it's something that I can speak to with any expertise. If you watch this far, including all my crazy bloopers with technology, I super appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to those of you who posted my request for more followers on your Instagram. Trying to think. Rocky Mountain Resale and Antique Boutique. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so exciting to go over 300 followers. I can't believe there are 300 of you that want to listen to me talk. Until next time, have a great day and happy selling.